Welcome, everybody. Those of you who don't know me, my name is Dan Kerr, and I have the privilege of being your moderator for today's second Saturday poetry reading, hosted by our poet laureate, Dr. Richard Bronson. We do start promptly at 11 o'clock. If you would like to participate in the open read, please put your name in chat, and we will call upon you in the order that your name appears. We are, by day, I am a diversity inclusion consultant, so I will make sure that we include everybody. So if you have challenges putting your name in chat, between Kathy and Richard and myself, we'll go around at the end and we'll make sure that everybody who wants to read gets a chance to read. But do keep your name in chat. Put your name in chat if you want to read. Please keep your microphone muted. As JR knows, I think she wrote a poem about the barking dog and the ringing phone and stuff like that. Please keep your mic muted for respect for the other poetry readers of the other poets. Otherwise, we get background noise, and only turn your mic on when you are actually reading. That'll make things a lot easier for us. Feedback is a gift. So if you have feedback for this session, things that you like, things that you don't like, Dr. Bronson and Kathy and I review the feedback regularly. We've been doing this for a couple of years, but we keep refining it based on what you tell us. Planned agenda, plans, the best laid plans of mice and men. We start at 11, we shoot for 12. Depending upon how many people want to read, we may flex and go a little bit longer than 12. Our experience is we've never generally gone beyond 12:15. So I'll get you all settled. I'll turn it over to Dr. Bronson. We're very fortunate to have Maya Dreamwalker with us today, our featured poet. So it'll be Dr. Bronson followed by Maya. Then we'll do the open read, and we'll bring Maya back for an encore. And then Dr. Bronson will come on with some concluding remarks and introduce the poet that we'll have in July. This is one of several outreach programs offered by Historic All Souls Church. I realize you're here today for poetry, not for evangelization. You want to do a deeper dive on the what things that happen at All Souls, just go to our website. But I will mention three things that may be of interest to you. We do a monthly concert. So every month we do a concert actually in the church. And the concert we've got coming up is Tom Manuel, who's director of the Jazz Loft in Stony Brook. He comes with a gospel group once a year called Gospel Road. That'll be on July 9th. So we do the monthly concerts. We do the monthly poetry. We're right now in a virtual environment, but before COVID, we were in the church. And there you see the passing of the twig from Robert Savino to Barbara Southard. So we do the poetry, always the second Saturday of the month. And we do Native American drumming as well once a month. This is a healing experience that comes thousands of years old, comes from indigenous people in both US and Latin America, very powerful. Once a year, we combine poetry, music, and Native American drumming as well. So this is put together by Carmen Bugan. Last time we did this was back in 19. You look over on the left-hand side, you'll recognize Carmen and Richard and some of the other poets there. So the way this works is we have a sacred reading followed by a music interlude, and the music interlude also comes with some Native American sounds as well. So mark your calendars from that. You're all invited August 6th at the church. And the last thing that I'll mention is that, as Gladys well knows, the church is at the top of a hill and people have difficulty getting there up that hill. Our mission statement says we meet people where we are, but the reality is we got a whole bunch of people that can't make it up that hill. So once a year, we do an event to celebrate the role of the church in the neighborhood, in the community, and to raise funds to make the church handicap accessible. So this year's race, so it's a race and it's a walk. And this year it's October 2nd, so you can either run or walk with us. And each year, a group of poets called the Live Poet Society. The t-shirt was green last year. This is why they got a green sign. Whatever the color is this sign, this year we'll get them a new sign. So please mark your calendars. We'd love to see you with the Live Poet Society. So you can either walk or run, or you can just come down and cheer. So again, on behalf of All Souls, we welcome you, and we are grateful for the opportunity to host this. And at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Bronson. Richard.
Yeah, unmute. Okay, well, thanks to everyone for being here. I look forward to the second Saturday. And thank you, Maya, for joining us and giving a reading. The last few months, I've been taking poems from the Lawyer Poetry Flash, where we share our favorite poem. But for a change of pace, I decided to go through some of my various collections and read a couple of poems. And the two I chose today are from my first book of poems. It was published in 2006, so a while ago. And both of these poems in some way have something to do with transformation, I guess. So the first is called June Evening at Lloyd Harbor. The west wind is howling. It blows from the mouth of the setting sun. Halyards clang in puffs of day's last expiration, toll the coming of night. Clad in black neoprene, propelled through driving waves by porpoise fins, you yield to the call of open water. The shore recedes into dusk. Don't look back. Swim wild, swim free. Follow your animal self. Race the rising moon, grasp evening's first star, and in the wind-whipped waters, become a creature of the sea. And then the second poem that I've chosen is called In the Season of Spiders. In the Season of Spiders. I have walked through webs, complex designs of the weavers who sleep the day away, resting from their nocturnal vigilance. It is that time when cicada still sing, and a gibbous moon accompanies one through the night. I do not begrudge them their night work. I have taken the vacuum to their resting places for fear of entanglement. Their little ones ready to burst from the nest float on the wind toward distant places, denied their future. I've often wondered what special silk spiders would make and how a lowly worm was chosen by the Chinese for their trade. If I could wear a spider-sewn cape, the spectral blaze of stars glistening in its folds, I'd fly on arachnid wings, cousin to the bat, companion to the moon, a night traveler in the season of spiders. Thank you. Well, now it gives me great pleasure to introduce our poet for this morning, my Dreamwalker. She was born in Harlem, New York, poet, author, spoken word artist. Streetwise and aware, she creates wordscapes that magnify perception. Her insight into the human condition is the mirror that reflects the invisible back to us. Co-author of Without a Roof, Portraits of the Homeless, a visceral and compelling book featuring 28 photographs and related poems. Welcome, Maya. We look forward to hearing your poetry very, very much. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you so much, everyone. And welcome. I'm so glad. Hi, Mindy. Hi, everybody. I'm so glad that all of you could be here. Can you hear me well? Okay. Okay. Okay.
Fine. Perfect.
All right. I will just open up with a poem called Ash. And he said skeptically, "So what do you know about quantum mechanics?" And I know this: their blood song rings in my ears, 26,000 ancestors whispering their unfulfilled yearning to my bones. And we will spin a million prayers unleashed with the precision of singular breath. By this, the world will be moved off its axis. Awakened by the radiance, the single eye does not sleep. Hours fall away, the ends of the circle meet, and everywhere newborn stars stretch across the endless sky. The hands of the sun rip the sheer veil, and a new creation matrix spins itself into ultra spectral colors beyond names, revealing the myth of time. My tiny story of days explodes in my spine, and I emerge from chaos again. Restore the sacred wholeness. Heart waves defying measure will rise, expanding all universes. I ascend out of these borrowed bones, knowing that love is the diamond immortal. I am not afraid. I will die and live forever. Thank you.
My screen froze a little bit, but it should be back momentarily. We'll give her a second.
Why does that happen, Dan?
I don't know, Kathy. It did happen during the rehearsal. Let's see if, give her a second, see if it comes. Last time it came right back.
It's at her end, do you think? Not ours?
Yes, it's at her end. Last time it happened, it just came right back.
Sometimes it's good just to go in and out. It's like rebooting it.
Yeah. So let's just see. Give her a second. And then Richard will give her a second and Kathy will give her a second. And then what I would suggest we do, I know who the readers are, the people who want to read. So maybe what we can do is we can alternate until she comes back.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm going to call her husband, Eugene, who's the
She's-
computer whiz.
She's back. But she's back in,
She's
but
back.
she's muted. She's talking.
Okay,
but she's
Okay,
muted.
okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, just a second, Moira, we'll just give a sec. We lost you there for a second. So
Okay, can you
Just
hear me
give-
now?
yes, so we lost you. So now you're back with us. Go ahead.
Okay, no problem. Okay, I'm going to read They Come to Return the Dead. They've come to return the dead. Dried tongues lick the ear with sandpaper. They come to fill the empty womb with sawdust, carrying bags of breath and the bones of words to make soup for the hungry. In its impending nearness, here lie the gates of heaven and the gates of hell. The rage of choices not informed by truth swells in stomachs like starvation. They come whispering over bouquets of dandelions, offering condolences while widows sleep with concrete. They come on safari in tour buses to make trophies of the wildlife in nihilistic neighborhoods. And the riot within becomes grief, fixed and dilated.
You're getting lots of virtual clapping, Maya.
Okay. This one is called Reality Check. One day, while looking for fossils, we will ask, how were they to understand if they never learned how? We long for incorruptible flesh and fountains of youth while graduating generations of painted debutantes and powdered princes. We drape them in novelty to keep them soft and plump, and then suture their mangled humanity to silicone illusions and the ongoing, never-ending pursuit of happiness. Oh, freedom, the gift of character, was not for sale. Tsunamis of bones erupt out of the depth of the sea. We drown in our freedoms. When soldiers return from the fight, will they recognize the freedom that they have fought to preserve? Will the vampirism of hedonistic children deliver the unjust from their illusions? The record keepers will engrave our lives in the Akashic Chronicle. Be aware that we each approach the growing wormhole. We have been having this same conversation, even as some of us still bear the wilted paps that were taken out of our own children's mouths. We have replaced truth with falsehoods and sugar tits for culture. Beware, for those who have everything are even hungrier, and they have tasted the fox's blood. How thin the veils we wear to protect our pridefulness from revelation. This one is called, What Were You Thinking of? What were you thinking of? I was thinking of the way a wedge of ripe cheese would taste, yielding to the bite of my teeth, melting across my tongue. She said I would have a basket filled with still warm bread. Another whispered, I'd be lying in a meadow with my love. There'd be wildflowers all about my love. And the tall one said, I just want to inhale the true morning again when hope rose with the sun, to sink my feet into the moist brown sod where they would not be judged. An old woman said. Another fancied making clothes from new cloth. Soup, said the last woman to enter. They did not hear the echo of the woman who was there earlier. They did not see where her shriek had torn a hole in the illusion, how an inferno of wrath raged wildly in her eyes as she saw the very truth of it, how her scent had changed instantly into an animal musk that still lingered. Animals can sense these things, but the women were thinking only of the showers. This one is called Missing Person. I've been to the moon, all the barren places of myself where love did not shine. Death sat near offering to read bedtime stories to me, but I stayed awake until dawn. Days couldn't become night and night couldn't become day soon enough, lying there, naked, cold. The stranger in the hospital mask is looking down on me and I am uncovered and exposed. Voices speak of me in the third person. I remember, I remember when you made the incision deep, drew blood, and then washed the tears off your hands. It was suicide, you said as you left. But no one came to greet me running in slow motion, waving me on. No ancient grandmothers beckoning, no fast rides in dark tunnels speeding toward light, no illuminated realm of seraphim at the end of the ride, just the realization that it hurts for a little while and then it was gone like a promise neglected, hope abandoned, a dream euthanized. Wake up. Time to wake up is over and you'll be just fine. I hear my own voice. Uncover me, recover me. The table, the cold table, the white sheet, and the victim is gone. Disclaimer. The person who left will never come back. The person who was here is not the person who left. The person who left was never here. This is called For Ruth. Under the full moon, when plants sing, I submerge myself in this liquid dark. Come, O grace, and render me invisible. Mosquito larvae erupt out of silt. I become the undulating tendrils of pond lilies. Curious minnows kiss my legs. My hair is heavy with algae. So before my lungs die here, I'll plant my feet in the silken mud. I'll swim with duck grass and soft mosses. I'll dance to the wind chimes of marsh reeds and cattails. The night music of frogs plays on. I grow swollen with great droughts of fish tasting water. But if I burst, I will become the great mother of new fishes because even now I can hear Emmett say that amphibious things, real and imagined amphibious things, are safer than these men and this moonlight. This one is called A Summer's Lament. It's almost time to leave the beach. I've sat quietly watching how the ocean shows no favor to sandcastles, footprints, and names. But the faithful would still arrive at the shore to offer coins, bouquets, and petitions. We're always making deals. Once, in a confession to a seagull, I admitted to the sin of not being myself. This silent, unblinking, yellow-rimmed eye became the greatest judge I've ever faced. For penance, rapture was written across the crimson skies, but no one knew the language I was speaking. I went back home to the mountains, but the land was for sale. Upon my arrival, I was given dried flowers and a rose that had no perfume. They said that kind of rose was grown only for its beauty. I pressed my hands together until the rose suffered no more. Suddenly, what fragrance! Saying goodbye to my reflection in your eyes, I thought about how the barn swallows have nested here for years, but the new owners have plans for the old property. Do they know about the forgotten gravestones hidden in the tanglewood? A nest has fallen to the ground. They say autumn should be cold and damp. It should be. And this one is called Motherless Child. And I dedicate it to one of my favorite authors, Toni Morrison. She has always recognized me whenever I have returned home, though I lie at her salt-bitten feet, covered in kelp and scarred by the secrets of things I might not have known. Her bosom swells like bread as she rocks my disconsolate heart. She sings a lullaby in a forgotten language to balm my mortal wound, ever so tender, that here in this weariness in between, I might find rest and solace inside the embrace of her great compassion. I am a tempest-tossed soul who did arrive upon the curl of a wave, upon a desolate beach where diamonds and oily pearls wash up unnoticed out of a blackened sea. So I will look up into the fury of her eyes and see only mother, with her knowing that I won't remember the words until all that I thought I was has died. Never have you not been loved, she soothes as a consolate, whispering wind. Never have I not been loved. And I've reached the end of my selection, and I have one more that I've written for, actually written it for my son, who's a hip hop artist, but I'll read it. I want to take you to the core. Well, it's a beat I've been looking for. It's not hard, it's not soft, and it's not too sweet. It brings a rhythm to the feet. Yeah, it's hot, because that's the flavor that I got, hot central. Oh no, it's not coincidental. It's been about the measure of a man, or from the me to the I am. Try to understand square biz, I'm on the level. And oh no, it's not coincidental. Hardcore is what it's been for. Come take a ride on the magic carpet side into the place where you just can't hide, but you can't come in on no VIP pass, and you can't come in with a heart made of glass, and you can't rise to the front from the rear, and you can't see if your mind ain't clear, and you can't force, you can't bully, can't push in front of this fiercely burning bush, in front of this fiercely burning bush, in front of this fiercely burning bush. Da. A dee da 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 dee da. A dee da 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 dee da. A dee da 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 dee da. A dee da 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 dee.
That's great all around.
Wonderful.
That's wonderful, yeah. Wonderful, wonderful.
It's great all around, Maya. Really appreciated the going
you.
back to the beginning with the ash poem. I could hear the voice of the 26,000 ancestors, and coming to return the dead was just so powerful. And that reality check of the anthropologist looking at us at what they would say, and that wonderful poem about the women and what they were thinking of, and the eerie imagery of the missing person, and the song for Ruth in the terms of the the person in the swamp being the mother of new fish, and the line from the Summer's Lament that August should be cold and damp, and the poignant line from Motherless Child that you were never were you not loved, and just wonderful how you took your own poetry and obviously you captured the energy of your son. And I would speculate that was probably the fruits of many conversations.
You captured it from me.
So that was great. We very much look forward to your encore, which we'll bring you back at the end. So we're going to move into the open read now. So I'm going to have to mute everybody again because there's quite a few microphones on here. So just give me a second. Bear with me a second here. I want to get rid of the chat. Okay, I'm going to mute everybody. So now everyone's going to be muted, but when it's your turn to read, then just remember to turn your mic on. And I will announce the people who are going to read. We'll announce them in orders, groups of 3, so you know, prepare. We do have guidelines. Some like to call them rules. Some like to call them commandments. So again, we will start with the people who put their name in chat. Please, only one poem and 5-minute maximum. I don't think anyone's ever hit 5 minutes, but please don't exceed 5 minutes if necessary. Again, keep your microphone muted, so out of respect for your fellow poets. Please wait to be called upon, and we'll bring Richard back, and we'll bring Maya back as well. So let's start with the open read. And the order that we're going to do, again, I picked up people in the order that they said they wanted to read. So the first group of 3 will be Don Billings, followed by James, followed by Victoria. So Don, over to you.
Thank you, Dan. This is a 3-part poem. First part. Is this 1938 again? The threat of war, how it hangs over Europe again. Tanks and soldiers waiting while Ukraine goes about its business. Words threaten sanctions. Will sanctions bring back the dead? Is no one willing to stop this? Is this 1938 again? Russian soldiers in tanks and trucks, waiting their orders. How many will they kill? Who sends them to conquer and kill? A man, evil and cunning. He controls the gas and the soldiers. Europe needs the gas. Is this 1938 again? Just how far will this go? Which country is next? Who will answer for the dead? War is a crime carried out by men. Is this 1938 again? Part 2, a training exercise. Did you hear of the training exercise? You could see it on the nightly news. Have you seen the trenches with the bodies in black bags? Homes, hospitals, schools, pounded to rubble by rockets and tanks. Have you heard about the millions fleeing the training exercise? The men stayed back to fight for the training exercise. Stopped, Russians practiced a retreat, left booby traps and mines. Civilians left dead, shot in the head, hands tied behind their backs. It was all part of the training exercise. Part 3, Mariupol. I feel I'm dying in Mariupol. I feel the destruction around me. Will I soon lie in a pit somewhere? I see the mass graves. I smell the smoke of burning buildings. I hear the crying of the living stooped over a child's body. Will the world remember us who were once living in Mariupol? Will the world remember the evil that came to our country in February of 2022? I'm consumed by never-ending grief, crushed by raw power and greed. I feel I'm dying in Mariupol.
Beautiful, Don. Very, very moving, very upsetting. Wonderful imagery. Thank you. Okay, on to James from North Carolina. James, you're the only North Carolina poet today, so you get to represent North Carolina on your own.
Okay, yeah, I've got a knowledge miser. When he had become wiser, now a supervisor. What we did intend, much money to them will lend, all of it can spend. Price gains and gains from all of our money drains, price high still remains. More oil can create, high price will eradicate, have to educate. Oh, let me lower it down here a little bit now. Oh. Okay, great start, made to stitch, are not sure the one or which that did have a glitch. New one we have found was a townhouse on the ground, silent with no sound. Thank you.
Thank you, James. Okay, over to Victoria.
Okay, this one is called Voice Light. In the house of the mind, its windows of desire, its doors candy red, poppy lipped, its ceiling fans spinning, its kitchen timers unwinding, its intricate hallways intersecting. Clouds and sparrows drift in the attic. The widow's walk looks out upon a departing sea. Something courageous puffs and hopes in the chimney. Something ecstatic sings in the wires. Something in the floorboards is asking a question of the trembling mirror beneath the stairs. You see an answer in its glassy eye, a burning garden at its center, a singular voice light. It holds the key, it holds the feather, it speaks in tongues.
Victoria. Okay, next group of three is Shu, Mindy, and then JR. So Shu, Mindy, and JR. Shu, you're first.
I don't think that I prepare anything for today, so I'm going to speak for today.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, so Mindy, over to you.
There we go. You can hear me? Unmuted my mic.
We can see you. You're a little bit in the dark, but we know it's
I know.
you.
I'm always in the dark, Dan. These are tough days, but it's great to be here. And Maya, how lovely to hear you. Maya and I reconnected after 20 years at the Walt Whitman birthplace after not seeing each other for a long time. So it's terrific to be back on the radar with you. This is called Sand. I dreamt of my childhood while I lay on a dune sleeping. I was climbing the rippled sand with my mother, our shadows stretched but never touching, our legs impossibly long like giraffes stalking the Serengeti. All afternoon, I was hunting treasure, unbroken shells, rounded pebbles, pieces of sea glass salted to crystal. She had her scarved head down in a book, seeking the pleasure of found words. Safe adventure, an ocean's beckoning to a better life. What happiness gleams beyond the powdered hill? How does the wind carve each year till it slips from our hands? I return every summer to find out. Always, too soon, we gather our towels and separate dreams. Thank you.
Thank you, Mindy. Always good to go to the beach. JR, over to you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Maya. What a wonderful way to start the weekend. Thank you. Okay, undulate. Dip your big toe into a stream. Watch the water diverge around the dam your digits creates. Ripples orbit as though your toe is the center of a solar system. Toss a pebble into a placid lake. Ripples span out in concentric circles, radiating wider and wider to ruffle the water's surface. Throw a rock into the sea. A waterspout rises and falls. Wavelets lift and dip, reaching, stretching, shattering the salt water nearer finish. catapults a boulder into the ocean. A tornado funnels down, water swallowed, spit up, spit out, waves crest and fall, whitecaps ride the rough surface, breakers smash everything in their wake, onslaught continues, unrelenting. Grief is that ocean. A tide of tears creates waves crashing down on you again and again, on and on until you can't breathe, can't catch a moment's respite, can't see a horizon past massive waves pummeling over and on, an unsyncopated dance with death. Time is an unreliable friend. No calendar schedule to say when the violent ocean calms to a stormy sea. No clock watch to know when winds subside, when sea becomes serene lake, subdued to a singing stream. Tsunami waves of grief become ripples in a puddle in some obscure, unwritten definition of time. Thank you.
Thank you, JR. Okay, the next group of three is Judith, followed by Sherry, followed by Dan. So Judith, over to you.
Okay, thank you. And thank you again to Maya for this beautiful reading so far. Beautiful. Okay, in black and white. Auburn, oh, this is an ABC Darien. In black and white. Auburn hair, glossy, sleek in a ponytail. She blows smoke into swirls above, holds the cigarette she's bummed on the bus to the demonstration in Albany from the handsome ex-soldier just returned from war. As if in a film noir, they have met one another's eyes, greeted each other in glamorous black and white. He with the thin line across his chin, she intrigued by his strong, rugged demeanor. Not jaded, but slightly scarred, he's seated as she stands. He kids with her when she asks for his seat, laughs and offers her to sit on his lap. They are married 4 months later, their futures not traditional, no white picket fences. He climbs over fences, leaflets factories, organizes unions, marches on picket lines. They ask of the world many questions. In dungarees and plaid flannel shirt, she remains committed to just causes, sings folk songs of grief and hope, strums her guitar. Together they devote themselves to those who are underdogs, unseen, unserved, undone. Visit the dark side of humanity, risk all. They want people of color to have the same rights as whites. Friends are exed from jobs, homes, families, cities, life. Yet my parents survived, slightly scarred, as they fought zealously to repair the world.
Thank you, Judy. Very well done. Okay, over to Sherry.
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you, Maya. I just love your poetry, your images, your art, and thank you, Danielle and Richard, for hosting. This poem is dedicated to the Long Island Poetry Collective, and it's called Glitter from My Wounds. Falling in was not an option when earth cracked open, even when root tips gripped my toes and ankles with unyielding cavernous haunt amid flame bursts and frozen tundra wind riots bearing down to tempt, impotent, quiet. when I found you, or did you find me? You who gathered for a different world sting formed atop Earth's quivers, inviting my wide-eyed Mustang enquiry to join your dressage, beauty, poise, and charm arena, paying no mind to refinement, scarcity there as I shed glitter from my wounds, bearing your crossings, your joys, your sorrows, in warm, artful convocation, week after week became mud that makes us spark, revealing each of us chained to the other, held its own becoming. Inspiration, gift, and grit sharing held no expression of gratitude sufficient, no knowing of shores where each of your peace ripples pulse. A welcoming and perhaps a saving of more than one bleeding heart from drowning. Thank you.
Okay, the next reader is Dan. And Gladys Henderson, the former poet laureate of Suffolk County, was one of my real mentors when I started to write poetry. And she often said, when we started to seek out her advice, she said, you need to remember that poetry is just another form of prayer. I was reminded of this the other day when I saw this reading from Isaiah. Even to your old age and gray hairs, I am he, and I will sustain you. I have made you, and I will carry you. I will sustain you, and I will carry you. And then also from the Psalms, Numbers 77, King David's Psalms. Your path led through the sea, your way through mighty waters, through your footprints were not seen. And then from Matthew, come to me all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Now, why did I start with a reading from scripture? Well, I'm going to read a poem now that was written by Mary Stevenson, and it's called Footprints in the Sand. And many people have claimed this poem, and she didn't get it copyrighted until many, many years later. She wrote this poem, Footprints in the Sand, in 1936, when she was only 14 years old. And it goes like this. Footprints in the Sand. One night I dreamed I was walking along the beach with the Lord. Many scenes from my life flashed across the sky. In each scene, I noticed footprints in the sand. Sometimes there were two sets of footprints. Other times there was only one set of footprints. This bothered me because I noticed that during the low periods of my life, when I was suffering from anguish, sorrow, or defeat, I could only see one set of footprints. So I said to the Lord, you promised me, Lord, that if I followed you, you would always be with me. But I have noticed that during the most trying period of my life, there have only been one set of footprints in the sand. Why? Why? When I needed you most, have you not been there for me? The Lord replied, the times when you have seen only one set of footprints were those times when I carried you. Mary Stevenson. Almost tempted to say amen, but just say Mary Stevenson. Okay, so we have now gone through all the people that have said they wanted to read. And Kathy, I'm going to start with you and see if you want to read today.
Sure. We have the time. That's wonderful. Maya, you have a voice. It's beautiful. Thank you for your words. I take them with me. I want to just say, I'm not surprised your son has an artistic talent with words like his mom. And that bebop thing, you know, I don't listen to hip hop, but lyrics like that make me interested because, I don't know, they're sort of fun. And so thank you for your reading. You did it, girl. You did it. I want to thank everyone for coming today quickly and thank Richard and Dan for putting this together as they do. I have a poem. I envisioned myself or envisioned a woman living in an exclusive area north of Port Jefferson called Belterre. And the story speaks for itself. She put down her ink pen, pushed away her paper, stood up from her soft cushioned chair that had come to fit, reached up to lift her coat and scarf draped over an open door, buttoned up to brace crisp air, unable to think of anything but you. Down a dirt path through woods, bare oak boughs, her steps shuffled damp yellow leaves, crunched acorn tops robbed of their seed. She could not bother to step around, only thoughts of you. Reaching the edge of cliff overlooking the sound, she walked with one foot threatening to tip her down the sand dune to the sea. Waves crashed and withdrew to crash again, as they did when you were there beside her. Salt water claimed the air, wet sand the shore, seagulls the sky. But she claimed that time, the very thing you had so little of, to spend with thoughts of you.
Thank you, Kathy. Beautiful. Okay, so we're going to change the view here so we can see everybody. Okay, so everyone who wanted to read, who said they wanted to read, has given an opportunity to read.
Dan?
Yes,
I think Truck would like to read. He's in,
I see him. Yep. I think it's Horace. Over to Horace. Thanks, Don. You got to put your mic on, Horace. Your mic is still off. Should be on the bottom of your screen. Little. There you go. You're on.
Got it. You got me?
Yes, you're on.
All right. First of all, I'm humbled by everybody and their beautiful writing. And I would not be here but for Don Billings' insistence that I come and read something that I've been writing on my own for years and just recently had something published. But Don encouraged me to read to the literary group. So I have actually 3 poems. I was going to read just one, but they're very quick. And the first one is called Across Uvalde. The heavens parted and the moon shone too, but sorrow would not let them through. Tomorrow turned its back that day, and words had nothing left to say. And the stars of Texas went dark across Uvalde. Trust and innocence hid confused as crimson pools rose round small shoes. As Satan's spent shells hit the floor and sprayed the room with nevermore. And the stars of Texas went dark across Uvalde. And oh, the cascade of tumbling plans as hope unfolds its praying hands. How, when, where, and why echo in canyons of gone lullabies. And the stars of Texas went dark across Uvalde. Put aside your feeble blame. Call in your children from evil reign. Cloak them in love from head to toe and tell them what they need to know. That you love them more than they'll ever know. And weep for the seedlings never to grow when the stars of Texas went dark across Uvalde.
Thank you, Horace. That was great.
The next one is supply and demand. Do you think there's too much love in the world? It's a question she and I would ask when we'd see hunger, war, and pain. Now she's gone, and I'll take the task and throw it out to all of you. Starting with the Arab and the Jew, is there a place where we can meet without cameras and clenched teeth? And talk and tell, and no one has the right to yell, where we ask ourselves at the opening bell, do you think there's too much love in the world? A black man dies beneath the knee, triggering riots from sea to sea. So as one voice, we condemn the force and search the sky for one white dove and love, and see smoke instead and sirens wail. And the night is ablaze as they burn the jail in hate and rage. So we shake our heads and turn the page and ask, do you think there's too much love in the world? Now the knee becomes a gun, and children fall, shot one by one. Fathers weep and mothers cry, but killer shooters still drive by. And statues fall as cowards crawl and scribble slogans on burned, scarred walls. And leaders drop to submissive knees. They only know how to appease, to win the vote on bites of sound, to skirt the issue and step around the vagrants asleep on ill-gained ground. Do you think there's too much love in the world? Is there a building, room, or heart where we can find a fresh new start? The winding road that'll lead us back is not white, nor is it black. We are the answer, tried and true. Color us red and white and blue. We are the atoms of cure or clash, greater than the towers of cash. The things we wish for all, to rise as one against our fall. Do you think there's too much love in the world? And one I have at the very end, and I hadn't really planned on it, but it's very brief. And it's called Forever Young. May you always see God's blessings everywhere you go. Come up laughing when you stumble. Flap out angels in the snow. May you kneel to help the needy. Stand tall against what's wrong, and may you be forever young. Take your counsel from the ages. May your path be broad and long. May your quest unveil high motives. Make your life a prayerful song. May you find your true love waiting in your thoughts and in your bed. Find the beauty in each moment. This is where your heart has led. May old friends always remember your friendship when you're gone, and may they ever hold you forever young. Thank you.
Thank you, Mars. Normally we only say one poem, but those three were all worth listening to. Really well done. Thank you. Great encore. A great premiere, rather, with this group. I hope you'll join us again. We do this every month. Okay. So Bernardo joined us late, but Bernardo, we have time for you to read if you'd like to. You've got to come on and turn your mic on, Bernardo.
Mic is on.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Dan. I want to say hello, first of all, to my friend Judy. She makes it possible for me to be aware of this. I'm prepping for a Juneteenth program this next week, so I was really wrapped up, and then suddenly I realized, hey, okay, I'm here. Thank you. The poem I want to bring to you today is a poem called Just Breathe. And I think it's very appropriate because we've all been living through this thing called COVID, which steals our breath away. It's taken away 1 million people in this country. And every day, like my man just read that poem about Uvalde, the kids are dead because of guns, their breath is gone. And every time we look at the news, it can take your breath away because there's just so much happening. And breathing is so important and it's so vital to our health. So we need to learn how to breathe. Just breathe. Conceive, you can see frustrations leave. Just breathe. Believe your peace will be retrieved. Just breathe. Achieve what you already have conceived. Just breathe. The world just keeps on moving, sometimes seemingly too fast. Minute are the moments marking future, present, past. Nothing lasts forever, and alas, this too shall pass. There are instances of distances of things within our grasp. We weep, we laugh, we moan, we groan, we scream, we whisper, gasp. We smile while struggling wonderfully behind our changing mask. Day by day, we make our way through promises and tasks. So if you feel the need to cleanse, just draw yourself a bath and breathe. Conceive, you can see frustrations leave. Just breathe. Believe your peace will be retrieved. Just breathe. Achieve what you already have conceived. Just breathe. The world and all its movements sometimes seems so very slow. Like there's been no change in situations that we know. I've heard what does not end us is what will make us grow. There is wisdom in between the holding on and letting go. Through courage and acceptance, with peace we may connect. No one knows their final hour, how much time that they have left. Each day is a blessing. We should strive to do our best. If you should feel depleted and the challenges and stress, just breathe, conceive. You can see frustrations leave. Just breathe. Believe your peace will be retrieved. Just breathe. Achieve what you already have conceived. Just breathe. Thank you.
Thank you, Bernardo. That was a wonderful addition to today's reading. So glad you joined us. Okay, so again, an opportunity. Anyone else who wants to read? I'm mindful that we see Melissa is with us today. And Melissa, we look forward to your reading next month. I don't want to put you on the spot. If you have anything you want to read today, please feel welcome.
Sure. Can you just give me 1 second to bring it up?
Sure, that's fine. And also, I see Chip has got his hand up, so we're going to go to Chip first, and then we'll go to you, Melissa.
Thank you.
Chip, you got to turn your mic on to get started.
Okay. Wow. I came in late, and what I heard was just what I needed. And I appreciate you guys so much. My heart is torn. My mind is exploding. So many emotions are racing through my head right now because I feel for the parents, the families, the friends. And I came on because I needed some joy. And I thank you all for giving me that joy today. I'm gonna attempt to read Keep the Joy. When the snow is backed up against your door, delicacies and excess spending is no more. Friendly gestures dissipate, charity exchanges, returns for hate. Sour grapes, ripe peaches, rotten eggs, milk spilled, crop rots in the field. Speeding cars fail to yield. Mudslides, shaking earth, wind-blown, burning sun, thunderous clouds, and lightning, reminding me to keep the joy. Thank you.
Thank you, Chip. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for the poem. Thank you for sharing what you're feeling.
Thank you.
Okay, so Melissa, are you ready?
Yeah. You sort of caught me off guard, but I think I'm going to continue with the theme that has been obviously prevalent within today's reading. I teach high school in an urban school in Queens, and this is for my students. It's called Hazard. Because my students wear hoodies in the rain, because they leave their houses for 7-Eleven pursuing Skittles and iced tea cravings. because a cop threw Andrew against a brick wall, because he fit a suspect's description, because it could have been Arnold, who was on a full ride to college, hit with a bullet in his stomach while swallowing rainbow candies, because I could see Mike sprint away because he's scared someone is following him, not because he did anything. It could have been his blood running down a sewer drain mixed with Skittle dye, his candy and corpse covered with sand after the body was pronounced dead. It could have been Ron, who asked me before the Ferguson riots, why do blacks still sit in the back of the bus if they don't have to anymore? I asked him, do you? He just looked down at his desk. Because Keith told me, and only me, why Joel was in bed under the covers all week. Monday after practice, we jumped the subway turnstile and a cop pulled a gun on us. Because the other day, my oldest friend's husband, Derek, repeated, that could have been me just taking a jog. I could have been shot. Are you scared to go for a run now? I asked him. Not in New York, where we live, other places, yes, he answered. And I said, my wife is from Kentucky. While it's not the same, there are counties like Hazard. We couldn't even hold hands or order a wedding cake. I added. Prejudice is prejudice, he responded. In the background, my oldest friend, Nicole, yells, white privilege. A week later, a witness records an office kneeling on the neck of a black man, lying on his stomach for almost 9 minutes before an ambulance came. I hope I would have been the one to jump on top of the cop, because it could have been Derek, because it could have been me at his funeral with my arms around Nicole, trying to hug the hurt out of her. Thanks.
Hey, Melissa, we look forward to your reading next week as well.
Thank you.
Next month, rather, right? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, let's, Kathy and Richard, keep an eye out if we see anyone else who wants to read. Don't see any other waving hands. Going once, going twice. Okay, so I don't see any other waving hands, so we look forward to Maya bringing back you for your encore. And Maya, you're gonna have to turn your microphone back on. Remember, we practiced that before.
Are you good?
You are good, you are great.
Okay, thank you. Since there's so much going on in the world right now, and you know, Mr. Putin is talking about, you know, possibly being able to use some moderate, limited range, whatever, you know. So it's back in the conversation again, not that it ever left. So I wrote a poem in 1982 that was written with the voice of the bomb. So this is the bomb speaking. The poem is called Was and Is Not. I'm hot. I burn. I'm incendiary heat. I am the east wind blowing over Mecca and Judea. I know no lasting peace, and I make sand of my enemies. I am the east wind. The answer is blowing away. It's hard to hear answers over the sounds of war. My music is the sound of war. From the first percussive sound of stick against bone, the rapid fire rising crescendo of the clashes of humanity, the descending scales of exploding, twisted metal meteors falling to earth. Hear the shriek tearing out of the throat of a humanity at war with itself and the planetary being that is its only homeland. This is the music of madness. I consume, leaving only shadows of my presence. I purge and demand ultimate transformation. I know not the prejudice of the flesh and mind. I am the justice and you are the justification of a million nightmares. I gather more followers every day. Utter my name and you have called me. Your fears have called me. Your lusts have called me. You have created me. You are me. Your vengeful wishes give credence to my existence, and I grow closer to you all. One day, I'll reach out and touch somebody's hand as day becomes everlasting night. I'll swallow cities whole and spit burning rubble into the dark morning. There will be nowhere to run, nowhere to hide, no mountain high, no valley low, no river wide enough. Baby, save the last dance for me. I have mass appeal. My name is a household word. I am a popular idea. People believe in me. Pray to your gods, your idols, your plaster of Paris lawn saints, your demagogues and demigods and golden calves. I am the fire this time. I am the firestorm, the solar wind. Duck and cover behind your lilac bush. I will find you sleeping, bathing, walking, eating, laughing, working, lying, cursing, praying, murdering, gambling, doubting, or believing that each moment could be your last. And are you living as though you were about to die? Do you know the day and the hour? At the tone, the time will be. Is it the 11th hour or is it 3 minutes to midnight? Time will tell. I can wait. I'm a slow burn on a short fuse. I am everything you fear, your darkest thoughts, your most terrifying nightmares, your blinding vision of the future, and I will exist as long as hatred, greed, fear, and denial devour your hearts and fan my all-consuming flames. I am the revelation, your self-fulfilling prophecy, a sign of the times. At the tone, the time will be. This is not a test. For the next 60 seconds, at the tone, the time will be. This is not a test. This is not a test.
Powerful encore, Maya. Powerful encore.
Thank you.
Okay. Dr. Richard, over to you for any concluding comments today and also to introduce the present the next reader.
Well, first of all, what a treat. I would say that, your poems, Maya, were just amazing in many ways. Certainly this last poem, we're of an age, we know what it was like to be in the heat of the Cold War. And of course, all those bombs are there waiting. They're still huge. And the clock is getting toward midnight, according to the Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists. So,
yeah,
very much so. But putting aside this last poem, which was terrific, I loved somehow the power and beauty of your poems, that combination. The imagery was so beautiful and so powerful. And I could see also, what I always like is, it's wonderful to listen to your poem as you read your poem. I do that. And I could sense in your voice, you appreciate how the poem has come about. Because poems are gifts to the poet to some extent too, besides your working on the poem. It comes from elsewhere too, in part. Anyway, it was a wonderful, wonderful morning, and thank you so much for being here. And I hope that this will be an entry into other readings too, because you were saying in the chat beforehand, this is the time to, I see you have a guest with you, a friend there. So thank you so much, thank you. And then let me look forward to Melissa. Of course, wonderful to have like a prelude to your poetry, Melissa, because, that was special too. So just to what you can all read, Melissa lives in New York with her wife and teaches, advanced placement. So we know a little about the urban school. And, I had a daughter who worked in a school actually in Manhattan, high school for kids who really didn't want to be in school. So I know what it's like also, and the challenges and also the joys of being in a school like that. And I see you have two cute and hilarious Maltese dogs. And anyone could read this. And we really are looking very forward to next month, second Saturday, to hearing your work beyond the poem that you read today. And I look forward to your coming by then. Thanks.
Sorry, I had to unmute myself. Thank you. That was a beautiful introduction.
Great, and we very much look forward to hosting you next month. Okay, so I'm going to stop recording now, and what we'll do is we'll keep the site open if any of you'd like to have any unstructured sharing of ideas. There was a number of questions that came up, Maya, while you were reading, where people had questions about were there references to Emmett Till and other things like that in your poetry. So I'm going to stop recording here. Just a moment, please.